Welcome to my Flosstube channel, Stitching Fleur. I'm Fleur and I'm going to be talking to you today about my stitching. It's been a while since my last update. I'm not going to go into any life updates, that's not how I do my channel here. So we're going to get straight into whips, okay? So the first whip that I've been working on since the last time I saw you was my Death by Cross Stitch by Long Dog Samplers. It looks like this. Okay, now I am stitching this one on 28 count 1/1 deep burgundy and I'm using DMC 822. This is the cone, I show it in every video. It's a cool cone because this uses quite a few skeins of DMC. So this is my Death by Cross Stitch. That's where it is at the moment. On my gorgeous deep burgundy fabric. With DMC 822, it's coming along really, really well. Now I'm just going to take it off here and I'm going to fold it down so you can see exactly where it's at. Now there's 16 pages in this Death by Cross Stitch and I am working on page 8. So the last time you saw it, I was about halfway down the dragon head or lion head, I guess, depending on what that creature is. Okay, so up here, just finishing the lettering on the top of the head. So I've finished that page, finished the next page, and I've started on this bottom one here. So that'll be page 8 down the bottom, and that will be halfway complete. It's really fun. It's a monochrome design. Well, I've chosen to do it in one colour. So it's Death by Cross Stitch, 1/1 deep burgundy Lagana with DMC 822, affectionately called Blood and Bone. Now, the fabric, I have had questions on my Flosstube videos and also when I post pictures up on Facebook and Instagram as to where I got my fabric from. This fabric I purchased from Stitches Corner in Perth. I know a few people have actually rung Rob, the owner of Stitches Corner, to try and track down this fabric. Unfortunately, it's no longer in stock anymore and they can't get it in, but Sew It All online is an Australian online store. And they sell a similar burgundy fabric, not quite as dark, but almost. So that was my Death by Cross Stitch. The next piece I worked on was Stitch Rovier's Quotes to Live by Sal. It's a stitch along that Emma Congdon, who's the designer and owner of Stitch Rovier, created, with all proceeds going to Mind UK. It's a foundation that helps those with depression and mental health issues, which is obviously very prominent and important. Now this was one that came over 9 months, started in January, went till September. So piece by piece a quote came out. I chose to do mine on 32 count summer khaki linen. Now the linen I have here, anyone who's maybe completed a reso or purchased the partial kit from Casa Sanina for a reso by Nora Corbett would have received a piece of summer khaki linen in their partial kits. Now when I got my kit, when I did a reso, I didn't want to use the summer khaki linen for that. I wanted something a little bit more, I don't know, make it pop a bit more. I've shown it in previous videos so you can see the fabric that I've used. So I popped this in my stash, and then when I saw the Quotes to Live by Sal and saw the colours, it's got a lot of the deep and light coral colours, I knew exactly what fabric I needed to go for. And it's turned out really, really well, better than I expected. So I've finished all the quotes for this one and finished them as they come out. The only thing I haven't done is completed the outside border. Now this particular piece I've stitched for my eldest daughter, Alexis, and her birthday is next month, so I will probably work on this during November just to finish it off. And again, it's only the outside border, but as I'm looking to personalize it with my own small quote and obviously her name and my name, I haven't finished it 110% yet. I'll show you what it looks like. If we can get that. So that's the Quotes to Live by Sal. I think the colours have come up really good. I haven't changed any of the colours. The colours are the called for DMC. I've had a few people ask whether or not I've changed things up, but I haven't. These are the called for colours. I've not changed the quotes. The only thing that I'm going to be converting is popping in that personalisation on the bottom border, down the very bottom. So other than that, it's all complete. Now this particular stitch along, now that it's finished, is actually available on the Stitcherovia Etsy shop for purchase. So I will pop the link below for those who maybe are interested now that you've seen the completed quotes and are interested in doing it, can purchase it from there. So that was 32 count summer khaki linen 2/2 with all the called for DMC. Now I've been quite busy with another stitch along, the Under the Sea stitch along, in conjunction with Doreen Jones and Lakeside Needlecrafts. I've done a few stitch alongs this year with them. This Under the Sea stitch along, we're now in November. We just received the we just received the November release, which is I think it's a squid and a lobster and a snail. So this is November, so I've got one more release. Now I haven't actually stitched this one yet. So I've only stitched up to October, but the last time you saw it, I just finished the jellyfish. What I do is, now with this stitch along, and with a lot of the Lakeside Needlecraft stitch alongs, they have like a special fabric that they have created. For this particular one, they have a blue fabric that's got like the reflections of the ocean, so it looks like you're looking down as the ocean's coming in. I had my own piece of fabric. I had 32 count Summer Breeze by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie in my stash, so I chose to use that. I'm stitching this 2/2 with all the called for colours, although, as you'll be able to see in a moment, hopefully you can see all of that in view. Coming along really, really well. So the last time you saw it, and I'll just break it down a little bit. We'll go half, shall we? Just to make it a little bit easier to hold. So the last time you saw it, I just finished the jellyfish. Okay. Now I'm not going to go all the way across with month order, but we've had a turtle since then. Probably my most favourite. The diver, really cool with the treasure. That's the last one I finished. That was October's release. Now on the other half, again, I haven't changed anything until we got to the mermaid. Actually, I might just pull that a little bit so you can see it a bit better. Okay, so I have converted the mermaid. The mermaid was blonde haired, but because she's surrounded by yellow fish, so I've got one here, oh, wrong way, one there, and one here. She had blonde hair. So I decided to change her up and make her more dark-haired, just for a bit of difference. So originally charted to be blonde, and I've changed her to dark hair. And I've put the conversion in the Lakeside Needlecraft Stitch Along group for anyone that may be interested in changing it up. And we also had Stingray, so that's another new one. So all together, this is the Lakeside Needlecraft Under the Sea Stitch Along in conjunction with Doreen Jones on 32 count Summer Breeze Jaslyn by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, 2/2. So got 2 more to go, one that's been released and one we're still waiting on, and that one will be complete. That one will be, I'm going to finish up as a pillow. It's going to our youngest son. The next piece that I have is Mermaid of Atlantis. Looks like this. The Mermaid of Atlantis. And I was going to stitch this a little bit later in the year, but I decided to pick it up and start it straight away. Now I didn't have this one fully kitted, and it's still not fully kitted, but I've changed this up. Normally I will use exactly what's called for. Occasionally I'll convert things. I do like to change one or two things here or there when I'm stitching. That's sort of my signature, I guess, is just changing a little bit here and there. So this one is Mermaid of Atlantis. It is a Mirabilla, designer Nora Corbett. And I'm stitching this on 28 count Lunar Eclipse by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, 2/2. So she's not fully kitted, so I'm just using threads and Krennic and beads that I have on hand, and I'll obviously order what I need. But for anyone that's thought about doing a Mirabilla and done the costings for the price of some of the specialty threads or beads, for this particular one there's 3 water lilies. One of them is Umbria. I have quite a lot of Umbria, so I didn't need to worry about that one. But the other 2 I don't have. And whilst I don't mind waiting for an order to come in, if I put in an order, I'm a little bit impatient. And I really wanted to start a mermaid. So what I did is I converted the last 2 water lilies. So just to give you a bit of an idea, is this stool that she sits on, this one here, it's supposed to be a water lily. But I've used a DMC colour variant. I'll put the details down below in this Flosstube video. Almost identical to the water lilies, but the price difference is like a quarter of the price. The other water lily that I've changed is the one that you see there, strand 4. I don't park, it's just I change projects quickly. So as you can see, this particular colour here. And this one, maybe slightly more vibrant than the water lily that it calls for, but exactly the same colour. Same colourway, everything. So it just goes to show that if you're sort of a little hesitant because you think, I don't really want to pay, you know, $13 for one water lily, there are other alternatives and you can change it up a little bit, personalise it, make it yours. So this one I will continue to do. I'll probably have this finished in January. It's not my focus piece at the moment. I just like to get a mermaid done each year. I did Aphrodite last year. I did Siren and the Shipwreck the year before that. And Mermaid of Atlantis is this year's one. So 28 count Lunar Eclipse, Mermaid of Atlantis by Mirabilla. Coming along really, really well. Very quick to stitch this one. Took me about 5 days to do the top half of it. So it just needs beads and some Krennic threads to go in there. Okay, so my next WIP that I've been working on, and one that's been my main focus, has been Fingers of God by my husband Jeff Pritchard, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Now this one I'm doing on a piece of 25 count 1/1 on that easy count, so the 10 by 10 grids are already in it. Best decision I ever made. I was very lucky and had the fabric gifted by Michelle at Heaven and Earth Designs for this particular one. And when I showed it to you last time, I was waiting to finish page 1. I'd almost finished page 1. Well, there's actually 2 pages here. There's a small narrow page and then a full page. But a page is a page when you're doing a Heaven and Earth design. So as you can see, I finished the first page on the last time we did the video. But not only have I finished the first page, I have finished the entire column all the way down the full length of the design. Phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. Now, I'm just going to pop that photo in again of the original image so you can get a clear shot. So this will be the far right hand side of the image, and we'll highlight it so you can see exactly what I've stitched. Now this is about 9 pages by 5 pages, 5 pages deep by 9 pages across. So at the moment, there's 10 pages complete in total. I'm loving the detail. It's just to take that in, look at that. Fantastic. And when there's confetti heavy areas, it's great to have the gridding of the easy count, the 10 by 10 grids, because it just, when I'm stitching at night, because I do predominantly most of my stitching at night, it means that I don't even have to think. It's right there in front of me, and I just have to translate the chart straight onto here. The other thing that I wanted to say is when I'm working on these, and I have these in my small Q snap when I'm working on it, so I'll be sitting here and I'll be stitching on this. And to me, because you're working so closely, all I'm seeing is red and orange and brown and black. And it becomes quite consuming that you think you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. But my biggest recommendation for anyone doing full coverage design or feeling a little dejected because you don't feel like you're getting anywhere is to take regular photos of your work. Use your phone, use your camera, use your iPad, whatever you've got handy, because it makes a huge difference. Because when you take a photo, then you start to see the detail. You take that step back and it's like, wow, it's all appearing. So I literally just finished that last page about 10 minutes before we started filming. So that's Fingers of God by Jeff Pritchard. 25 count, 1/1 on easy count Lugana. Absolutely fantastic. I'm really, really proud of this. And I have one more whip. I actually have two, but the other one is finished, and so I'll show you that one in its completion. Now the other one that I have here is, as a lot of people may have known, that Casa Sanina had a benefit for the rebuilding from the earthquake in central Italy. So all the proceeds, all the profits, the entire profits that they get for these charts. So they have a whole bunch of artists come on board and design up special designs specifically to raise funds for rebuilding after the earthquakes in central Italy from last year. Now I purchased this one. This is, I'm not going to pronounce it in Italian, but in English it's Embroidery Reborn is what it translates to, or an embroidery to be reborn. I am stitching this on 28 count Lilac Clouds. It's a fabric flare material. As a lot of you know from my previous videos, I don't generally stitch on purple, but this is my last piece of purple fabric in my stash, so it seemed appropriate, and the clouds seems like the right thing for this particular design. So I'm stitching it 2/2 on 28 count Lilac Clouds. It's fabric flare by Fabric Flare, and I bought it from Sew It All, which is an Australian company here that sells fabric for us cross stitches. I'm going to show you the picture. Now the picture is a drawing, and you might be able to vaguely see the imprint. So it's a bit like a statue holding a big weighted bowl, almost like a fountain-like effect with the ivy coming down. So again, I've changed this one up slightly as well. So this is all in statue colours, you know, the greys, the browns, that sort of thing. But it also has beads. It has beads for like the ivy that comes down. And it also has some beads that are more of a crystal-y colour that go on her head. So I've changed it, and I just bought these from Spotlight. These are just little green beads. And instead of using the clear ones on the head, I've gone with the light purpley colour, which works kind of well with the fabric. So, just show you. Again, I've only literally maybe put in 50 stitches, if that. It was really just to get it started. It was one I was doing in between after finishing another one. So it looks like that. So these are the ones that are going to go on her head. These are the ones that are going to go in the ivy. This is one that I will probably complete next year. It shouldn't take too long. It's quite small. It's about the size of a normal Nora Corbett design. So that was the other whip. Now I'm going to go on to fully finished objects because I have one more whip, but it's fully finished now and framed. So I have one more whip, but it's a whip that I've finished and it's now become a fully finished object. So an FFO, for those that are not familiar. Now I did mention in my last video that I was going to put some entries into the Perth Royal Show, which is like our state fair here in Western Australia. But for reasons that I'm not going to go into, I unfortunately had to forfeit. So I had everything ready to go, I had my framer on board, even offering to deliver them to the showgrounds, but it wasn't possible. It wasn't going to happen. But my husband very generously drove up to Perth yesterday and picked up my pieces. So one of them is this whip that I'm talking about. Now, with the Perth Royal Show, every year they have a special category. So the year before it was scarecrows, and the year before that it was to do with Anzac Day remembrance, and things like that. They just pick particular themes and make a special category for it. And normally I don't do the theme categories, I just put in my pieces. And it's just for a bit of fun. That's really all our state fair is when it comes down to doing needlecraft. It's great to have people that actually support what we do. It's just a bit of fun. It's good to get some feedback from the Embroiderers Guild here in Western Australia, so that you sort of feel like, okay, I'm doing good. You know, my stitching is top notch. So anyway, this year's theme was chickens. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and pick a quick little design so that I can do it. And I actually chose two. One of them's called 3 Hens and the other one's called 2 Roosters. The roosters look like this. It's designed by Linda Tillman from Eccentric Avenue. So this is the 2 roosters, nice and bright, something quirky. And this one is 3 hens. So being sort of a last minute decision to actually do the theme category, I just picked a piece of fabric out of my stash. So 25 count cream Lagana. I stitched it 1/1 and finished them up pretty quickly. They were done, you know, a couple of weeks out from the show. Now our framer, and I've mentioned him before because I've shown it when I've done my Heaven and Earth Designed, I think my 2nd or 3rd video here on Flosstube. Now our framer is Chris. I won't say his last name because I haven't asked permission. His business is Effects Picture Framing. He is the best framer here in Western Australia. He has been framing for us both professionally and personally for the last 10 years, and it's just phenomenal. He's great pricing, great work, and we're very particular with the prints that we have, with the framing when it's done, and he's just never let us down. So this particular one he framed up for me. They're framed within the one frame, and I'll show you what it looks like now. So this is my 2 roosters and 3 hens. So double matted circular frames. Well, sort of like a red, barn-like red. Sort of that rustic worn. Just gorgeous. And with this, all my specifications was that they need to be framed within the same frame. Now I didn't stitch these on one piece of fabric. I actually stitched them on just small squares of fabric. So he's managed to piece them together, ensure that they're framed so the stitching is neat and tight, double matted it and put the frame on, and it looks fantastic. And I really wasn't fussed by this particular one. I was like, yep, no worries, putting it into the category, I'll probably never hang it in my home. Now that I've got it back, it's like, wow, that looks really good. You did a fantastic job. So much so that we've had interest whilst it was sitting at the framing shop waiting to be collected. Someone was interested in purchasing it. So that's by Linda Tillman from Eccentric Avenue and framed by Effects Picture Framing. Now Chris has a website now that they've moved to their new location further down Great Eastern Highway here in Western Australia. He's got a website and a Facebook page, so be sure to follow him, like him, check him out. Does phenomenal work for cross stitching. So that's my first fully finished object, and that whip fully finished. The second one is this one. This is Santa Sleigh by Nora Corbett. It's part of the Christmas Eve Couriers collection. Those of you who have been watching my Flosstube channel from the beginning would have seen my progress on this piece. It took 18 days to complete. It is on 32 count platinum Lagana, stitched 2/2, and framed by FX picture framing here in Western Australia. And again, all I said was I don't want any mats on this particular one because again I was putting this in as a showpiece. And with showpieces, and it's not so much that the frame distracts from the actual image within it, it definitely complements it, but it's just to make sure that the focus is always on the needlework. So this has a spacer in it, it's been beautifully stretched and framed with this phenomenal frame. The texture is just, I don't even know if the camera's picking it up, but it's fantastic. Done, framed, looks divine. So again, that's Santa's sleigh for anyone that's maybe looking at doing some Christmas stitching or looking at stitching this one. It is quite a quick stitch to do. 32 count 2/2 platinum Lagana, framed by Chris at FX Picture Framing. Okay, and my next piece I love them all. It's hard to choose. I'll pop this one down for a minute actually because I'm going to show you. This was the 5-part series by Barbara Anna called A New World. And again, I've showed this in my Flosstube videos previously. So there's 5 parts. This one here, The Night of All Fears. This particular one with the witches, they have the normal skin colour. I changed it to DMC 470 to give it that witchy green skin. And all the skin that you see in the people in all 5 parts of this series, I've stitched the skin 1/1, but the rest of the stitching is 2/2. Now I stitched this on 28 count Earthen Lagana. Earthen Lagana I picked up from 123 Stitch, but you can also get it from Picture This Plus. So that's The Night of All Fears, Plentiful Meadows, Deep into the Woods, A Visit to Town, and Over the Seas. Now again, this one, all I did when I sent this off to the framer is I packed it into an express post bag, sent it up with just very minimal directions because Chris is phenomenal. I have no worry when I send something off to him. If I give him a suggestion of what I would like, he takes it on board. If that's exactly what I want, then obviously he will follow my direction. But if I leave him to make the decision, then he just runs with it and does a phenomenal job. So this one, we have to rest, this is quite heavy. I stitched it all on one piece. So one piece of 28 count Earthen Lagana for all 5 worlds. So as you can see up on the top one here, I've changed the skin for the witches to DMC 470. Hold it down so you can. 470 for the witches, and then the people that you see in the town here, this one down here, their skin's 1/1, as well as the mermaids and the merman in the bottom series. So this one has sort of a rustic gold inner, and this brown frame has just this great rustic indentation. It's amazing. When I saw it, I was just taken back. It's phenomenal. He's just done a fantastic job. So for those of you who are stitching it or maybe considering framing it all in one, this is my piece here of the Barbara Anna New World series. 5 parts to it. Lots of colour changes, but it was great to stitch. And it really only took a couple of days. And again, I've said it in previous videos, some took 4 days, some took 5 days, some took 6 days, but yes, only a matter of days to get each world finished. So a nice, relatively quick stitch. You can get it done with probably in about a month, 4 or 5 weeks, and you're done. So this is another piece that I had framed and ready to put on display. But it's come back looking phenomenal. Like, it has a spacer in it, as I requested a spacer and no mats on this particular one, and the nice rustic frame with the gold inner. But it's just, I didn't choose the frame, I just gave specifications of the darker wood with the gold in it. I mean, look at that. Phenomenal. Great price, great framing. What more can you ask? My stitching looks fantastic. It's been stretched really well. Chris is great, and generally I like to have my pieces stapled. He uses stainless steel staples, so I have no issue with rust or any problems with my fabric. But he will lace, so for you, those of you who prefer to have your pieces laced, he can lace them for you as well. You just let him know the specifics of what you would like. So if you're putting your needlework in and you want it stretched and laced, then you let him know. But phenomenal price. Phenomenal price, phenomenal framing. And that's why we keep going back to him over and over again. We've been all over this great state, from far northwest down to the south where we are now, and we've had things shipped to us. We've had framing done and sent up to us. We've had framing for customers and clients that have been sent overseas in eastern states. Just phenomenal service. Couldn't recommend him highly enough. So again, the links will be down below for both his website and Facebook page. I urge you all to check him out. You're being an idiot. Okay, so this little bit of segment is just going to be a bit of a mix-up of plans of what I've got up and coming, maybe things that I'm going to do next year, bits and pieces that I've acquired. Bit of a mishmash. So I get a couple of questions here and there, so I'll sort of answer a couple of those along the way if I haven't already answered them in my previous videos in the comments below. So I mentioned before that with my Heaven and Earth piece, Fingers of God, it has 3 pages of key, colour key, for my threads, and I'm always losing them. Always losing them. I don't know how. I have a clip on my light. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you've seen my light, you've seen my setup. I did my video for my Lowry stand review that I purchased, so that was one of my big purchases, hence why I haven't sort of done a bit of a haul or anything like that. I sort of do a purchase once a year of bits and pieces once a year. This year I decided to invest in my stand, which was probably the best investment I've made. Good price, quick shipping, and it's just been a breath of fresh air for my hands, and it certainly made a difference with my stitching and the ability to be able to stitch a little quicker, because I do stitch two-handed before I got the stand, but then having something that actually physically holds the stand makes so much difference. But yeah, so my colour key, I kept losing it. I have a clip, I don't know how. I blame my husband. He's been on annual leave.
Yeah, let's rewind and quote back that she has lost many copies.
I've lost many copies, that's right. Totally not my fault though, I swear. Anyway, he's on annual leave at the moment while I'm at work, and he's cleaned the house and house cleaning. Roger, got it. And my piece that he did for me, where he merged the key together for me with a picture of the front of the design onto one piece, it vanished. Never to be seen again. I don't know where it went. I was getting all flustered and frustrated. So anyway, the other day we went back to Officeworks, printed one off and had it laminated. This is what it looks like. Makes it so much easier when I'm trying to reference something that I don't have to shuffle through 3 different pages to find the key that I need. It's got the photo on there, which is great when I'm taking regular photos. I can just clip it off my clip and stick it next to the stitching, and it's a great reference as well. So if I sort of feel a bit lost in, you know, all the browns and reds and different colours that I'm using, I can sort of see what's going to be appearing before it actually appears. It's a great resource. But this one's laminated, so hopefully it won't get lost. Maybe. The next thing that I acquired, so my Lowry stand, got another printout for my Fingers of God piece, laminated, so I'm good to go in that department. I also managed to pick up a pair of little scissors. I like to keep a little pair sitting inside my Q-snap frame when I'm working. These are from Spotlight. They only cost me $3. You can buy them online, they're like $12.95. Just have a little rubber top on them. Super, super sharp. Cost me $3. So no point in paying $12.95 plus postage online. $3 at Spotlight. And at the time when I bought them, they had 3 for $3, and they had an assortment of different sewing accessories. So I bought the scissors, and I also bought a seam fix. So a lot of people would have seen the big purple ones that those in the US have been showing. These are the size of an unpicker. They are an unpicker, but they're the smaller one with a little rubber stopper on the end to take off the excess fibres when you unpick, for those times when you frog. The other thing I decided to do is I like to use the John James 28 gold-plated petite needles. They're expensive over here in Australia, and I try to stock up, because obviously, you know, when you're stitching quite a bit, you do go through your needles. Well, I find I go through my needles quite quickly, and the gold plating starts to wear away after time. So I decided to get on board with the bow and needles, just to give them a crack, see, you know, try something new and see if it makes a difference. So I contacted Tammy at Colour Cascade Fabrics, and she sent them down. She's in Perth, so it was even better, and sent some in the post for me, like this. They're amazing. They've almost got like a rectangular eye to the needle, which makes it much easier to thread your thread. They slide through the fabric. Just as good as the John James. The only problem that I have with the Bowen is they don't have the petites in a 28. If they did the petites in the 28, that would be awesome. I like using petite needles for my Heaven and Earth designs, because it means that I can get more out of my thread, which, you know, everybody wants to try and save costs when it comes to stitching, in terms of, you know, if we don't have to pay for an additional skein and we can use a smaller needle to get more stitches out of our threads, and I like the petites. They're not so cumbersome. So I highly recommend the Bowens. I'm a changed person in that regard. I have a question on Instagram from someone who was asking where I got my needle book from, where I keep my needles in. So I transfer them into my needle book. This one I got from Pants and Paper. Looks like this. Pants and Paper is on Folksy, which is a UK site, and they also have a Facebook page, and they do like iPad covers, eyeglass cases, and needle books. Really, really good with the felt on the inside. Quite sturdy, quite thick. So that's what I use. I'll also be breaking out my Clay by Kim needle miner, my Christmas one, as some people saw on Instagram and Facebook. I like to interchange them with the seasons, or, you know, different events. So I had my cauldron for Halloween. I generally use my ladybug. It's almost like my signature on my pieces. That's what you see on my photos. That's mine. From Clay by Kim. Here are the details. So now I'll be switching to my Christmas one. So the reason why I'm telling you is because she's currently creating, yet again, she's done one lot, she's doing some more of Christmas needle minders. Now, I know I've said in previous videos, but these are fantastic. I have less than a handful of these. I really want a under the sea sort of, the shell ones that she's had, but it's probably the wrong time of the year to get those from her. But Christmas ones, you too can get Christmas candy ones. There's Christmas dragons and things like that, and she has regular sales when she's finished creating them. They're really, really handy. I love them. They're not too big. When I'm doing my mirabilis or beading and stitching as well, I can put my stitching needle underneath and my beading needle on top, or either way around. But they're really good, really strong. Had them for quite a while. And Kim's fantastic to deal with. So that's Clay by Kim. She's on Instagram and Etsy, and I'll pop her details down below. So you'll be seeing this one from now until the end of the year on my stitching pieces. Now, when I ordered my Lowry stand from So-and-So, I got a really good price, as I said in my review, if you would like to watch it. I also bought a piece of 25 count Easy Count whilst they had the sale on. Not with anything in mind, just so I could have it in my stash, because it's really, really handy, and I find that it sells out really quick. So those 10 by 10 grids are already there, which most charts, that's how they come, 10 by 10. So I decided, I've been putting these designs off. I've had these designs for a while. These were charted by Stitch Boss, They are Jodie Bergsma pictures. Jodie Bergsma is predominantly, her charts for cross stitch are charted through Heaven and Earth Designs, and they are again, but there are a few that were charted through Stitch Boss. And these two actually physically fit on the fabric that I bought. So next year, these two I will be stitching. This one is a griffin. No, wait a minute, wrong picture. This is Celebrate Life's Many Colours. So, beautiful bright colours, bright birds. Beautiful. And they're not very big. I think I was hesitant because at the time I was already doing Heaven and Earth Designs and I didn't need any more extra large projects. And then the next one is The Courage Inside Us is the Strength That Guides Us. And this is of a griffin. And our oldest son, his name is Griffin. I will be stitching this for him. So again, this is Jodie Bergsma is the artist, and the Stitch Boss is the one that charted them. They are no longer in production as far as I'm aware. And I'll be using this 25 count easy count that I got from so and so. I'll be cutting this in half and using it for those two. What month next year, I don't know, but I will be starting on those. Now, whilst my husband's been on holidays, whilst I've been working, he's been getting crafty. We went to Spotlight and we picked up a few things. They had a Christmas VIP night, and I've been looking at different ideas. I like to do a few pieces leading up into Christmas to get into the festive season, and so I saw this, a vintage cast line for Christmas. Now, taking inspiration from Priscilla and Chelsea, the Real Housewives of Cross Stitch, I saw the Halloween one that they did with one of the prairie scrollers that was sitting from the bottom. So I sort of figured I could probably do similar thing with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to purchase Prairie Schoolers, I think it's Christmas Tree Farm. I popped it up on Instagram for those who are not aware. Happy Go Stitchy. Madeline was very kind and led me in the right direction for a company that sells a copy, or you know, a legitimate copy of the Prairie Schooler Christmas Tree Farm. And what I'm going to do is stitch that and then attach it to the bottom. Have my husband attach them on the bottom for me. So that'll be great. That'll look really good for Christmas. So that's from Spotlight. And again, they had, I had a $10 voucher, plus they had 40% off all their fabrics and things like that. Now, as it was only a couple of days after Halloween, all their Halloween fabrics were on sale. And a lot of people have seen my Q-Snap covers. I pretty much rotate probably between 2 or 3. I have more than that, but I rotate between those. So I have my Stars and Stripes, which is my all-time favorite. I actually have 2 of these, but the person who made them for me no longer makes these Q-Snap covers. And I do make my own Q-Snaps, but I generally just stick with ones that I have here. Well, when the husband is bored and on holidays, because remember, he injured himself earlier this year, so normally he would have been going to America at this time of the year, but not on this occasion because he's still recovering. So, taking up the challenge, he chose to grab some fabrics. So we went through and we chose all different types of Halloween fabrics, which they had on sale the night that we went there. And I also bought other finishing fabrics, which I'll show you one later on. And we bought all sorts of Halloween fabrics, and he was going to have a crack at making Q-Snap covers. How hard can they be? How hard can they be? I've rarely seen my husband sew, but when a challenge is laid down, he's not one to back away from it. So I will post a picture of the fabrics that we got in here now. And then I will show you some of the Q-Snaps. So this is a 20 by 20 Q-Snap. So this is quite large. This is the 17 by 17 with the 3-inch extension pieces. So this is the R2D2. I don't know if we can get it in the full shot. This is black with that shiny gold. Not bad, huh? Make some extra money on the side. Get the husband out there. This is the R2D2 one, and again, really, really good job. with my overlocker and my sewing machine. And who needs an excuse to go to Spotlight and buy fabric? This one is the horror movie titles. We'll put a better picture in maybe of the one that I put on Instagram. So this again is a 20 by 20 percent cover. And we have a few other ones in the mix, but yeah, really, really good. Sort of, he's got it down to a fine art now with a few that he's made, so looking really, really good. Wait till he refines it down before we maybe go into market. So yeah, that's what he's been doing. And I might even insert the little invention. I'm at work and I get a message saying I've invented a new way of cleaning the floors. Popping it in here now. Okay, now insert the eye roll. No, but it worked fantastically. I can't sort of knock the fact that he's maybe slightly genius there. And doing the housework, so house cleaning. So nothing wrong with that. So whilst we were at Spotlight, I also picked up a finishing fabric. This one here. With the greens and the reds and the pine cones. Christmassy fabric. So again, they had 50% off their Christmas fabric. So I just picked up this one. May go back for more. This one I'm going to use on the back of my ornamental joy that I did finish off last year. So this will be made up into a pillow just to throw on the couch at Christmas time. I think they go together pretty well, in my opinion. Obviously that print's going to be on the back, so it's not going to interfere with the design. So love that, fantastic. And then I'll probably look at getting a different type of Christmas fabric because I'm going to also turn this one from Barbara Anna into a cushion as well. It's got that square, so that one will be made into a cushion as well. I probably won't use that Christmas fabric because the greens are a little bright and this is a bit more vintage. But yeah, so I'll have 2 new pillows at Christmas time, plus I've got my framed Santa sleigh. It's going to be looking good. Now, I have a few plans. I'm going to continue with my Fingers of God. I'm loving the progress that I'm getting on that. And what I will probably do is I've worked all the way down on the right hand side and I'm going to work across the bottom over the next month. Because the bottom pages are half pages. So I think I could probably get those done before year's end, which will be great. So then I've just got the rest to fill in. I am hoping to have it finished by the end of next year. That was always my goal, was the 2-year for my Heaven and Earth design for that one. I'm even looking at getting another one charted to do the following year. But we'll see which picture and things like that, and we'll keep you in the loop on what's happening there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch up, coming into December, the Breast Cancer Awareness Ribbon Mandala by Ink Circles. Looks like this. This is a free chart, hence why I'm not hesitant in quickly showing you. This one I'm going to stitch on 28 count Pixie Kiss, which looks like this. Just a piece I've serged. Got a billion folds in it. And I'm going to be using this thread here, 3350. So what I'll do is I'll hold it up with the fabric. So that's Ink Circles Breast Cancer Awareness Mandala. Just going to do it in one colour, no changes for the ribbons or anything like that. So I'm going to do that one, so that shouldn't take too long to do. I'm going to finally, I keep saying it since the beginning of the year, but I'm actually going to work on my White Roses, Roses Blanches by Silk Reflections. So I'll be working on that one, and I have the Country Blue, and I'll be using white thread. I was going to use silk, but I'm just going to use the standard white. I don't like waiting for things. So unless I go into my Stitches Corner when I make a trip up to Perth, because again it's a 2.5 hour turnaround, I'll just use what I have. Also next year I did start the Dreamer, Mirabella's The Dreamer, at the beginning of the year, and I really want to showcase this one next year at the Perth Royal Show. So it looks like this. And I'm going to try and complete that one by the end of August next year. so 2018. So I've got quite a few plans in place for that sort of thing. But other than that, that's pretty much everything. Husband's getting busy with sewing and things like that, getting crafty. I've got my new stand, which is making stitching much easier. I've got a little bit of bits and pieces that I've collected along the way that I can concentrate on towards the end of the year and into 2018. But other than that, that's pretty much my update. I appreciate everyone that stuck by. I have lost a few subscribers. I'm assuming that's because I've been away for a couple of months, but again, I'm not going to go into those details. Those who know me well will understand exactly the reasoning why I haven't. Life is going okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I appreciate everyone standing by and being supportive. Thank you for subscribing and liking. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your kind personal messages as well. I really appreciate it. Until the next time, I'll see you then. Bye.